What's up, Stadium Rant? Lee Cook of Fantasy Rant and Commander's Capital here to bring you some waiver wire priority ads for Week 11. Can't believe we're that deep into the season. So yeah, I've got a few for you. I would say my number one pickup this week, who I would spend the most fab for, would be Ty Chandler of the Vikings. You know, with Madison going out with that concussion, who knows how long he's going to be out. He hasn't looked particularly good all season anyway. Even before the injury, Chandler had 5 carries versus 4 for Madison. Look for Ty Chandler to have the opportunity to win that job and potentially, at the very least, make it a timeshare. But with the way Madison's played, the offense changing with Dobbs in there, yeah, Ty Chandler would be the guy that I would spend the most fab on or use my number one priority if I need a running back. I would go Devin Singletary, obviously coming off a huge game, 30 for 150, following what I think was 13 for 26 the previous week. So a little bit hesitant with him, but the good thing about Singletary is he had carved out a role even when Pierce was healthy. Looks like he may get at least one more week without Pierce. And when Pierce comes back, Singletary is still going to be a guy that you can plug and play, definitely with these bye weeks. Keaton Mitchell, I know he's been a hot ad. He's still under that 50% threshold. He had a 1 carry for 32-yard touchdown and only touched the ball 2 more times the rest of the game. So that's a little bit perplexing, especially with Baltimore having a lead the whole game. But I think he has surpassed Justice Hill as far as being a guy that's going to get more touches. Justice Hill only had 1 carry. He is explosive. You feel like coming off of a blown win, the Ravens may do a little soul searching, and any self-scouting, they've got to know Keaton Mitchell is someone they need to get more involved going into a playoff run. Looking at wide receiver, Noah Brown is the huge one that stands out to me. He would be my number one ad at wide receiver. He was injured to start the season. There are a lot of mouths to feed, but, Nico hurt right now. Tank has been hurt quite a bit. He's healthy, but looking at the last 2 games are just, monstrous numbers. 13 catches, 225 yards, and a touchdown. And then you look at the schedule that Houston has, Arizona, Jacksonville. They play Tennessee twice during the playoffs, week 15 and 17. Yeah, that's a guy I'm stashing on my bench. I'm playing him next week if I need him, but I want him on my bench, and I don't want people I'm playing against to have him. A little bit more sneaky pick would be Trenton Irwin of the Bengals. He only had 2 catches for 54 and a touchdown, but, we got a short week. We don't know if T. Higgins is going to be back. Yeah, he's a guy that's readily available in almost every league. He's a guy that you can pick up, play potentially this week, and then, with the injury history, Chase has been a little banged up. If he is in that third wide receiver role, I don't mind playing Trenton Irwin. My last wide receiver pick for the week would be Demario Douglas. Pop Douglas, he's got 6 for 84 in the past game, 5 for 55 before that. He's really the only option in New England. We've got a quarterback change. So, he's a guy that maybe he benefits from Bailey Zappi coming in. You wouldn't think the offense could get much worse. 23 targets over the last 3 games. So, yeah, he's a guy I'll play in a pinch and would like to have him on my bench in case, the offense is juiced up with Zappi. Tight end is a wasteland. We've had some young guys really pick it up for us, so that's helped the tight end position, but still tough out there. There's not a lot of guys available. One that stands out to me, again, going back to the Bengals, heavy pass offense, Tanner Hudson. 10 catches for 78 yards over the last 2 games. That's not huge, but he is involved in the offense. He's had 12 targets, so he's catching most of his targets. Seems to be developing a rapport with Joe Burrow. So if you're desperate for a tight end or you need to plug somebody in, I don't mind him. The schedule is tough to finish the season. So my number one option at tight end would be a guy who was heavily hyped in the preseason, hasn't done much all year, but it's starting to show signs of life. Chiga Okonkwo, he's averaged 5 targets a game since Will Levis has taken over. And if you look at that schedule, week 14 against Miami, who has given up the 8th most points to the tight end position. And then he's got Houston, week 15 and 17, which allows the 6th most points to the tight end position. So that's a guy who, if you really need you're desperate for tight end, you had Dallas Goedert, or you just, you punted on the position for the year, that's a guy you can pick up, plug and play, and he can maybe help you win a championship. I'll end with quarterback. Again, kind of tough out there. You go one of two ways. A lot of people adapt in super flex, but in those single quarterback leagues, there's a lot of options typically. To me, the one guy I would look at, and this is pre-Buffalo game, so we'll see how he does tonight, but Russell Wilson, if you look at that schedule, he plays the Chargers twice, week 14 and week 17. That Cleveland game in week 12 scares me. I'm not starting him then, but I don't mind stashing him on my bench and, maybe having to plug and play him in the playoffs if you're a Trevor Lawrence owner and somehow you're still competing, or, if you were Kirk Cousins and you're bouncing around, I don't mind, playing Russell Wilson. And just to throw in, Josh Dobbs is just over that 50% threshold. However, he is definitely worth checking your waiver wire. He's still available in a lot of leagues. The way he's played, 3 straight games of 20 plus, about to get Justin Jefferson back, his ownership will go way up this week. Thank you guys for joining me, and hope you have a wonderful Monday night and wonderful Tuesday in the waivers. Good luck, and the playoffs is almost here.